Tim has kindly agreed to do a Q&A, so I thought this was a very good opportunity because I could feel questions crystallising in the air. So I'll just to sort of get things going. I remember going to an event at the ICA, retrospective of Tim's work in about 2000, which included some work I think you've done that's connected to the Millennium. There's quite a variety of work shown, including The Wolfman, and there seemed to be some amazing consternation amongst certain members of the audience, because there was one guy in particular who couldn't reconcile the fact that they were using digital technology and 3D modelling with this kind of texture and sensibility that one might associate with kind of analog filming or filmmaking or even painting. And he seemed genuinely affronted that you should do this. He sort of said, but this is like, Oliver, who do you think you are? Using computers, and it's a bit like the Clangers, but it isn't. And who are you? And I just couldn't believe it. But there was a time in the in the 90s, I think, when computer animation was coming in, where there was a certain sort of tension. And of course now almost everything is in some way computer generated, computer filmed. VFX now is absolutely everywhere. I doubt there's a single mainstream feature film now that doesn't have a huge amount of compositing. But then there seems to be a kind of a separation between filmmaking and computer technology. And I think we sort of were, at that sort of stepping point at that moment.
No, it was quick. It was very exciting to realise quite how it's sort of, it's becoming you're right, it's just very mainstream now, but I mean at the time to mix sort of retro effects with CG, it was just a very simple tension between making it look real but doing it in CG, and it was so easy to, picking daisies in a field that no one had picked daisies before, because it was just, I'm not saying I was the first doing it, because there's lots of other people doing it at the same time, but it's still a new place to sort of play around with that mixture of CG and retro feel, and to make things look real in a computer. It was a lot of fun and to play around that space, and so I can't remember the chap he probably just found me annoying. This is it's probably justified.
You were very quiet and modest and looked at the floor, I seem to remember. They also showed a selection of your greetings cards. And little animated greetings cards with different people. I think it was Jab's birthday. These are circulated on VHS tapes, I think.
I just genuinely at that stage didn't buy my family presents. I actually made little films and gave them and thought they were, I thought that was nice. And at the same time I was using it on my showreel. But
No, they did. I remember being shown that on the show.
A lot of fun to do, and it was got a lot of work.
Have you got James's birthday on your computer?
I don't actually, no.
Oh, okay.
There's another one, there's another one. So I was making family birthday cards. But it's amazing how quick, from going from doing performance and realising how long it took doing stand-up, how long it took to make something that was people found funny. It took forever, didn't it? It was like spent ages working on a short piece of performance. And then I went into film and I realised I was making like 3 minutes in a week or 2 minutes in a week. It was actually a lot quicker, despite the fact that the history of animation being sort of slow. Suddenly I went, wow, I can make stuff a lot faster and get it across a lot quicker.
Don't tell your clients.
Definitely not. Well, no, I didn't. But when I came in, the budgets were still quite big as well. Really awful that. The video budgets were still quite large, and I was doing stuff quite cheap. So it's changed.
When you showed your films to your partners, the entire parents, how did they respond?
She thought it was quite funny. Her criticism was more that at times the performance wasn't quite funny enough, was her assessment. And maybe needed working on that side of it. So yeah, she recognised the film. What did your Lissy think of it? Andy, sorry. What did Lissy think of it?
I think she recognised one or two comments, and probably thought, oh, that's a brilliant cathartic release for Tim and Andy to get together. We hope other people will sort of share that release, I suppose. And really, it's not, our intention is it's a fine line where it's definitely the last thing we would like it to be is seen as at all sexist. It's just a couple, an androgynous couple of parents, and we're both saying things that any kind of parent in straight and gay relationships would just say. It's about a lack of sleep, and those kind of things that you say to each other. So yeah, but my partner definitely noticed one or two nuggets lifted from her. Yeah.
They were ad-libs, so it was pretty much, we'd turn up and just discuss a situation.
How are you going to broadcast them?
YouTube.
Yeah.
I was actually mentioning a comment to Andy earlier that you filmed those side by side.
Yeah.
So you didn't film the two different heads and animate them into the situation.
We just on a single HD camera filmed the two heads at once.
That's nice.
So sat there, so we're constantly performing to a dot on the wall.
Well, that's nice because as you're doing the text, and when you made that comment about something to do with the news resolutions, you made a comment if it's completely off the cuff. Your eye reaction to it was perfect. It was like, you promised to do this? Yeah. So that style of filming.
That's actually Tim's editing, I'm sure I did the idea.
But yeah, no, it's strange. But that's the power of animation. Things seem to work strangely when you animate things as well.
Yeah.
You put it in an animated world and suddenly you start building up this, starts making sense.
Do you think that's
real sense? Yeah, no, well, that's the first time they've been shown, and we just finished it a couple of days ago, so I think it's going to require quite a bit of editing before we do the next stage on it. I think it's, we're going to sit down. It's quite hard to make it sound so on the whole.
Are all the ideas you have from memory, or is it sometimes you're having a conversation and you're just like, oh, this would make a good idea for my parents? Or is it...
Yeah, no, we do write down ideas while we're...
Is it like, can we post this and then let's write it down?
Yeah, definitely.
Hi Tim, can we ask you a question?
We want to ask you a nerdy production question, just to add on to the question that was asked previously. So we were thinking, added on to, as you were saying, about the performance between yourself and your partner, so the two actors. So that was seemingly filmed against green screen and then composited onto some models that you made. I thought it was 3D stop motion that you filmed and then composited your faces onto. Stuart thinks perhaps it might have been stills which you added the wriggler effect on in After Effects. Which one was it?
It was puppets just wobble with your hand.
Okay.
So neither was right.
What about the faces then? I mean, they were masked out or green screen?
You film the face and then you stabilise it. That's why we're wearing glasses, because the face is always moving. So when you talk, you can't. Stabilising is where you get a piece of footage and make it not move.
Right.
Yeah.
So with glasses, are the only thing that don't move and stick there. So you can stabilise these 2 points on the glasses, and then the head will just stay still. You could try and build something that would keep your head still, but you don't need to. It's cheaper, just track it and stabilise it. Probably easier for performance. So so then you stabilise it and then you track it onto the moving thing. So and the movement actually is what makes it believable. If it's static, you start recognising disconnect.
It's the same sort of thing like keeping a puppet alive by breathing the puppet. It's the same idea, yeah.
Did you make the models or did you work with model makers?
They're just something from eBay. Yeah, no, it'd be good to do decent models for them, but yeah, no, they like eBay. I've got a lot of them.
You said that Susanna wanted the performance to be a bit better. Was it you who said that, or was that Andy who said that?
That was me,
Yeah, I was thinking that the reason they work so well is because they are so understated. I was trying to work out if
I'll tell her that.
I was trying to imagine them if they were actually done as just a performance of two actors, and of course they wouldn't be nearly as funny. It's the fact that it is transplanted onto dolls or something that makes it brand new.
Animation's just amazing.
Yeah.
Whenever you use it, it's fun to take things into an animated world all the time.
So how do you?
But I can't do proper. Well, I can, but it would take even longer to do proper character animation like that. And you could do that with face shapes and mouth shapes and all that stuff, but it's even longer.
But it's the simplicity that kind of makes it fun. The fact that it's you can see that they're dolls, that they're models, and so on. Yet you've got this very realistic, understated performances at the same time.
It's just the right level of rubbish, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's what we're kind of aiming for.
That's what animation in a sense is, isn't it? In a good way. Taste. In a good way, sorry, I was that.
Just the right level.
Yeah, it's just right. It's not actually real, it's something else. It takes it into an abstract. Yeah.
Do you now own a lot of onesies?
Yeah, I spent £78 on eBay actually, again on onesies. So, I've got a lot of onesies, so if anyone wants a one. Extra large size onesie.
You talked about that's what animation is, kind of describing the art of animation. So if you're looking at the future of where that art is heading, there's a lot of processes that could automate that almost sometimes to make the animator obsolete. How do you feel about the future of the art of animation? Would you like to see
it's constantly up for debate, it's cultural, I think, in a sense it works as time moves on, our expectations change as time moves on, you know. What we would tolerate at one time as being animated and 5 years later we go, oh no, it's not animation anymore. I think it will just keep evolving. I think we always expect a certain amount of effort on the part of the filmmaker. I think that's all it is. You go, oh, that looked like a bit of work, and you respect it somehow. So yeah, so like what would pass for CG 10 years ago, you just expect a bit more work from a CG artist now. So like, is that true? What do you think, Duncan?
Pretty much, always more work. More work from a CG artist.
Duncan's head effects supervisor at Glassworks, so he knows how much work goes into it.
Nobody does enough work.
Yeah. I don't know, there is no rule, but yeah.
Did you turn up tonight?
I hadn't seen
Duncan, it is rare to see Duncan there.
I hadn't seen Wolfman for a long time, and I never asked you how it came about. Was it something that you just generated yourself? Or?
Definitely came from Wayne and I. It was similar.
Yeah, it was quite organic, really. I mean, we started off. I mean, we both moved to London around the same sort of time and sort of knew each other before. And Tim had this, I think it started out with Sam, because Tim worked with Sam, really, mainly before.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that makes the Wolfman what it is the fantastic sound work on it. And that's what it started out as, was Tim had this idea, he wanted to do these sort of story-scape, I think you call them soundscapes. And I was writing these weird little stories that were just like either over emotional or sort of wrongly emotional, and we sort of
Like
fused
a
them
two
both together.
Negro.
Yeah, that was sort of the idea to start with.
And you're missing a bit out here.
Which is
that you did it as a live performance.
Yeah,
before it was ever animated.
Yeah, but I think we started off with trying to record things, and then it turned into a live performance, which I don't know if this was before the crane thing or concurrently. But yeah,
It's called Man
and
Machine.
Andy, who's here as well, helped us out with a few of those. We did quite a few. I was just talking to someone outside about a performance art club that we played in Camden, where we went on after a bunch of, there were about 12 people dressed in Dracula costumes, all smashing up tellies, and they walked past us on the way off the stage. I said, beat that. And then we went out and did this. I don't want to embarrass Andy by saying what he was doing that particular night, but we had this performance called Manchine, which was just a load of nonsense about the fusion between man and machine. And Andy interpreted that in his own. Andy was the...
Yeah, Tim asked me to have sex on the television on stage.
Yeah.
But
This all does feed into the Wolfman, doesn't it? You were...
Yeah. It's a big unison.
Well, I think we did an early version of the Wolfman a couple of times, didn't we? Sort of before it became animation. Yeah. And there was Puff Machek's Compressed Horror as well, which was a tiny little bit on a thing called Comedy Nation on BBC Two, which featured very, very early versions of that kind of thing. So, what was the question though?
It had taken like 5 years, so that's what
I like to see it live version.
I think that's slightly lost.
Have you still got the Ealing Cemetery one? I saw one where you had Ealing Cemetery behind you, and you were performing live in front of that, talking about death. It's good.
You said you were doing performance before.
Yeah.
So, had you ever done animation before that, or did you just go from performance to animation?
Performance to animation, yeah. So it wasn't until I was about 28 that I first picked up computer animation.
And we just sort of self-taught.
Yeah.
Because I noticed with lots of animators, they're often very good at quietly acting or performing.
Yeah.
Do you notice that goes into the work?
No, I think animators are essentially performers.
Yeah.
There are performers who are using character animation and all that to express themselves and do. Yeah, definitely. They're very. I think stand-up comedians and animators have got a lot of. They've got a lot of control over the world that they have. They create absolute control, essentially.
Because you want that control, or?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of nice. It's the opposite to acting, isn't it, Andy? In a way, it's kind of like acting is handing over control, but it's about absolute control.
There's a lot of animators wouldn't really be too keen to get on stage. Animators are relatively introverted, not necessarily.
But I think they are exhibitionists as well. A lot of them.
They're on the stage.
You have one giant leap. When Russ and I were sharing a flat, one of the most inspiring videos I saw on MTV was One Giant Leap. Before we knew you.
Yeah, right.
It was amazing. It's like, thank you very much.
That was made in Tim's bedroom. Bits of fish.
Well, that was Coldplay. Anna was producing it.
Yeah, it
Was that One Giant Leap?
Tim, do you have any other songs by Tango that you could share?
Yeah, there's quite a few actually. No, he's got quite a few coming up. So it just takes quite a while to do videos.
Do you have any other videos with you?
No, not at all.
You do, Tim.
It's taking years. Oh, sorry. How do I do that again? If I were a woman.
Can we see it?
I'm not sure you're allowed as
Are we
one
allowed to
person
see
to
it?
vote.
Oh.
I vote too. Should we have a vote?
Yeah.
You
Let's
can
see it.
Okay. Right. Okay. So.
How to destroy your career in one second.
It was going so well. Okay. Thank you.
Did you edit all of it? Did you edit it to the end?
No, you just didn't hear it. It was,
It was always the sound.
so I played this
It
at
played
the end.
at the end of the beginning.
Oh! Can I just possibly listen to other people's points of view? I don't know, if I'm a woman! What?
What? Yeah, that's what I needed, isn't it? There you go. It's a feminist piece, actually.
Do you write
It's already
songs,
got
Tim? Do you write songs?
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote the songs. See, yeah.
What happens when your wife posted that on Mum's Net?
I got a huge actual amount of hate coming back, which was quite bracing and quite justified. I thought, well, I don't know, I don't think they quite got this, the true meaning of it. Yeah. She posted it in character and said, my husband's been upstairs making this video whilst I've been looking after the kids. There's a section on Mumsnet called Am I Being Reasonable? And she posted on that, my husband was upstairs making this video whilst I was looking after the kids. He says it's a feminist video. I'm not sure about it. And it got an amazing amount of, quite a huge response quite quickly. Of online hatred.
Did you have to edit your
Shut
voice
up
at
and
all?
look after your kids.
Did you have to edit your voice at all to get it that time?
No. I'll do it now, but I would be all a bit too overwhelmed by my quite intimidating. So there you go. I think that's, is that the end?
Is there not one more film that you haven't shown us? I think there might be.
There's only 1,000 steps, which is, what was that?
Nothing, sorry, I'm talking about the nose. One of the noses was the best nose, and it was the really big nose.
Yeah,
Some of them were like the doll's Barbie nose.
No, it's not as good as
But the one that was
Yeah,
the big,
yeah.
the large regular nose, that was the ultimate nose.
And that led to the tired parents' noses, which
Yeah,
are much better.
but you couldn't have the nose in every shot, otherwise you'd be too used to it, so you could
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's very okay, I'll show you. This is an animate film that I did, and this was done working with a theatre group in North London who work with kids. It's kind of an extension of Wolfman in a weird way, because that's the kind of stories as if they were written by 8-year-olds, but this was actually working with 12-year-olds who wrote stories, and we made short animated films based on their stories. And they do this amazing theatre performance in North London, which is on every couple of months. And they're called Seen and Heard, and it's worth going to see. It's spectacular. And this was using one of the stories written especially for this, and it was for Animate. There you go. That genuinely was written by her 13-year-old. I was trying to stay as true as possible to what she had written. So that was all the scenes and the scene breaks and stuff. She sort of created the characters as well and directed. We got some storyboard artists and she, designed the characters.
What's she doing now?
I don't. Well, yeah. Good question.
You've got a Michael Jackson story of your own, haven't you?
This is the time.
said no to Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, that was after Coldplay. I was Mr. Big for a while. Michael Jackson wanted a video from me, which would have been quite exciting. The management wanted. They said they don't want him in it. He looks freaky. It was very brutal and very blunt, the management at the time. But yeah, and he wanted an animated video for him, but I was doing non-giant, so I was thinking about it. There you go, that was the height of my career, I think, that very moment. What was that?
You made it into that film.
Yeah. Sweet singing.
In terms of developing young talent, like the young lady you worked with in the film, what kind of opportunities do you think she'll have kind of in the next generation of animation directors, you know? What do you think a potential path could be for her?
Well, it is. It's a very open space, I think, animation these days. I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to move into animation. I don't think it's a closed shop at all. It's very easy to pick up the software and to start from scratch, and there's jobs from the beginning. I think it might be, yeah. So it is, it's still a very exciting space, isn't it? I think there's lots of other animators here, there's lots of producers as well. There's still lots of, and it's evolving at a fantastic pace. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities to carve out a new space and do new things in it. What do you think, Hugo?
Oh yeah, really exciting.
Hugo's a top producer. So, yeah.
I think it's very hard. I think you have to sustain a living as an animator. I think it's a very tough thing to do. So I think a lot of people need support and financial support to survive, to then be able to create their art. And I think that's harder now than ever before. So.
Well, there isn't the infrastructure.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, people will talk about apprenticeships and internships, and a lot of people on Roger Rabbit learnt their trade on the job, and there was enough stable work going through that you could learn off the masters, but we don't really have those structures. People are trying, and skill set are trying. I think it's pretty hard for somebody new that doesn't have any other form of income to get in, but I'm sure it's the same across the arts.
Yeah.
So we need to have them.
There are jobs. It's quite easy to get jobs earlier on, but to move on to create your own stuff is obviously a different stage. It takes a certain level of aversion anyway. There you go, I've got that.
Okay, is that a good note? Certain level of perversion, is that a good note to finish this? Okay, well, can I have massive thanks to Tim Hope, ladies and gentlemen.